A beetle crawls, its armor gleams, a butterfly floats, chasing dreams. Ants parade in lines so neat, little wings of wonder, oh, they soar, guardians of blooms forevermore, flitting through the sunlight, brave and free, garden allies, heroes we can see.
Little Wings of Wonder 2, Garden Allies.
Episode 2, The Pollinator Parade. Meet the stars of the show. Brought to you by the 1940s romance murder mystery novel Underlying Love, a Worthington, Ohio mystery, and by the Little Wings of Wonder book series. Both available at major book retailers. Picture a parade, but instead of marching bands and colorful floats, imagine a procession of tiny, industrious creatures moving from flower to flower with purpose and grace. This is the Pollinator Parade that takes place in your garden every single day during the growing season, a continuous celebration of life, color, and partnership between plants and their winged visitors. Unlike the grand spectacles we're used to watching from sidewalks, this parade invites you to step right into the middle of the action, where every participant plays a vital role in keeping your garden productive and beautiful. The stars of this parade aren't seeking applause or recognition. They're simply going about their daily business of survival, but in doing so, they're performing one of nature's most essential services. Each time a bee lands on a tomato flower, each time a butterfly unfurls its proboscis to sip nectar from your zinnias, each time a tiny hoverfly investigates your cucumber blossoms, pollination is happening. It's a process so fundamental to life on Earth that without it, our gardens and our dinner tables would look drastically different. What makes this parade particularly magical is its accessibility. You don't need tickets or special seating. You don't need to travel to exotic locations or wait for annual events. The Pollinator Parade is performing right outside your door, from early spring through late fall, with new performers taking the stage as the seasons change. All you need is the knowledge to recognize the cast of characters and the patience to watch their remarkable performances unfold. The gentle workhorses, native bees. When most people think of bees, they picture the familiar honeybee buzzing around a white wooden hive. But honeybees, while certainly important, are actually the newcomers to North America, brought here by European settlers in the 1600s. Long before honeybees arrived, North America was already home to more than 4,000 species of native bees, each one perfectly adapted to local conditions and native plants. These are the true champions of your garden's pollinator parade, and getting to know them will revolutionize how you think about garden partnerships. Mason bees are among the most endearing members of this native bee family. Slightly smaller than honeybees, they're often metallic blue, black, or green, with a purposeful, business-like flight pattern. Unlike honeybees, which live in large colonies with complex social structures, mason bees are largely solitary. Each female is essentially a single mother, responsible for building her own nest, collecting her own food, and raising her own offspring. She gets her name from her habit of using mud to construct and seal her nests, which she builds in hollow stems, old beetle holes, or any suitable cavity she can find. What makes mason bees particularly valuable to gardeners is their incredible efficiency. A single mason bee can do the pollination work of 100 honeybees when it comes to fruit trees. They're also active in cooler weather, often flying when temperatures are too cold for honeybees to leave their hives. This makes them perfect pollinators for early blooming fruit trees like apples, cherries, and plums. Watch a mason bee working an apple blossom, and you'll see efficiency in action. She doesn't delicately sip nectar like a honeybee, but instead crawls right into the flower, covering herself with pollen in the process. Leafcutter bees are another fascinating group of native bees that demonstrate nature's incredible ingenuity. These bees are slightly larger than mason bees, with the females sporting impressive pollen-collecting structures on their abdomens rather than on their legs, like many other bees. They get their name from their habit of cutting precise circular pieces from soft leaves. Rose leaves are a particular favorite, which they use to line their nest cells. If you've ever found perfectly round holes cut in your rose leaves, you've witnessed a leafcutter bee at work. Rather than being annoyed by these leaf holes, consider them evidence that your garden is healthy enough to support these remarkable pollinators. The small amount of leaf damage is insignificant compared to the pollination services leafcutter bees provide. They're particularly fond of legumes, sunflowers, and many vegetables, making them valuable allies in both ornamental and food gardens. Sweat bees, despite their unfortunate common name, are among the most beautiful and diverse native bees. Many species are brilliant metallic green, blue, or bronze, looking like tiny flying jewels as they move through your garden. They're called sweat bees because some species are attracted to the salt in human perspiration, but they're gentle creatures that rarely sting. These bees are particularly important pollinators of native wildflowers, vegetables, and fruits. The smaller sweat bees are often ground nesters, creating their homes in well-drained soil. You might notice small holes in bare patches of your garden or along pathways. These could be sweat bee nests. The larger sweat bees often nest in rotting wood or plant stems. All of them are incredibly valuable pollinators, and their diverse preferences mean they're active throughout the growing season, providing consistent pollination services from spring through fall. Butterflies, flying flowers in motion. While bees are the workhorses of the pollinator parade, butterflies are surely the artists. Their role as pollinators is often overlooked because they're so visually stunning that we tend to focus on their beauty rather than their function. But butterflies are actually important pollinators for many plants, particularly those with flat-topped flowers or flower clusters that provide perfect landing platforms for their delicate legs. Butterflies approach flowers differently than bees. While bees are often in a hurry, moving quickly from bloom to bloom, butterflies are more leisurely in their approach. They tend to spend more time at each flower, unfurling their long proboscis to reach deeply into blossoms for nectar. This feeding behavior makes them particularly effective pollinators for flowers with long tubular corollas.
Greeting Little Wings of Wonders, I'm Bradley Barker, creator of Little Wings of Wonder. Thanks for joining me today. I want people to know that Little Wings of Wonder is not just a YouTube series, but a series of books as well. You can purchase the books at major retailers such as Barnes & Noble and Amazon. We have a whole series, Little Wings of Wonder, the book on hummingbirds, inside the fascinating world of hummingbirds. We also have one called Little Wings of Wonder, Butterfly Magic from Caterpillar to Garden. And also, for those of you who wish to purchase gifts for the holiday, we have a new one called Little Wings of Wonder, Holiday Birds, a festive guide to winter's feathered friends. So I hope you enjoyed the series, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.
The relationship between butterflies and flowers is often highly specialized. Many butterflies have co-evolved with specific plants, developing feeding preferences that benefit both species. Monarchs, for instance, are particularly fond of milkweed flowers, but they also visit many other nectar sources including zinnias, marigolds, and native asters. Swallowtails prefer flowers with sturdy landing platforms like phlox, bee balm, and butterfly weed. What makes butterflies particularly valuable in the garden is their tendency to visit a wide variety of flowers during a single foraging trip. While a bee might focus on one type of flower that's currently blooming abundantly, a butterfly is more likely to sample many different species. This behavior increases the chances of cross-pollination between plants, which often results in stronger, more genetically diverse offspring. Butterflies also serve as important indicators of garden health. A garden that attracts and supports a diverse population of butterflies is typically a garden with good plant diversity, minimal pesticide use, and healthy soil. The presence of butterflies often indicates that other beneficial insects are also thriving in the same space. The unsung heroes, beneficial wasps and flies. When most people think of wasps, they picture aggressive yellow jackets disrupting picnics or large paper wasps defending their nests. But the vast majority of wasp species are actually beneficial, gentle creatures that play important roles as both pollinators and pest controllers. Many of these beneficial wasps are so small and unobtrusive that most gardeners never notice them, but their contributions to garden health are significant. Thread-waisted wasps, for example, are elegant creatures with dramatically narrow waists that give them their name. They're often seen visiting flowers for nectar, but they're also predators that hunt caterpillars and other soft-bodied insects to feed their young. While they're collecting nectar, they're inadvertently picking up and transferring pollen, making them accidental but effective pollinators. Ichneumon wasps represent one of the largest families of insects on Earth, with thousands of species that specialize in parasitizing other insects. While their lifestyle might sound sinister, they're actually performing valuable pest control services. Many ichneumon wasps are also flower visitors, particularly favoring small, accessible flowers like those found on herbs and native plants. The key to appreciating beneficial wasps is learning to distinguish them from their more aggressive cousins. Beneficial wasps are typically smaller, less brightly colored, and more focused on flowers than on human food. They're generally not interested in sugary drinks or picnic fare, preferring to get their energy directly from flower nectar. Hoverflies deserve special recognition in the pollinator parade because they are both incredibly effective pollinators and remarkable examples of evolutionary adaptation. These flies have evolved to look like bees or wasps, complete with yellow and black stripes, but they're actually harmless flies that can't sting. This mimicry protects them from predators while allowing them to go about their business of visiting flowers. Many hoverflies are such convincing mimics that even experienced gardeners mistake them for bees. The easiest way to tell them apart is to watch their flight patterns. Hoverflies can actually hover in place like tiny helicopters, while bees typically move in more direct flight paths. Hoverflies also have large, prominent eyes and shorter antennae than bees. What makes hoverflies particularly valuable is their dual role in the garden. As adults, they're excellent pollinators, visiting a wide variety of flowers for nectar. As larvae, many species are voracious predators of aphids and other soft-bodied pests. A single hoverfly larva can consume hundreds of aphids during its development, making these flies valuable allies in natural pest management. Moths, the night shift pollinators. While butterflies get most of the attention as beautiful pollinators, moths are quietly performing equally important pollination services under cover of darkness. Many flowers that remain open at night or emit their strongest fragrances after sunset are specifically adapted to attract moth pollinators. These nocturnal partnerships are just as important as their daytime counterparts, but they're often overlooked because most gardeners aren't outside observing their gardens after dark. Sphinx moths, also called hawk moths or hummingbird moths, are among the most impressive nocturnal pollinators. These large, fast-flying moths hover at flowers much like hummingbirds, using their long proboscis to reach deep into tubular flowers. Many sphinx moths are specifically adapted to pollinate night-blooming flowers like evening primrose, 4 o'clocks, and night-blooming cereus. Some sphinx moths are active during daylight hours and are often mistaken for small hummingbirds. The hummingbird clearwing moth, for instance, is a day-flying species that visits many of the same flowers that attract hummingbirds. Watching one of these moths feed is like watching a tiny hummingbird. They hover at flowers, move rapidly from bloom to bloom, and even make a similar humming sound with their rapidly beating wings. Smaller moths also contribute to pollination, particularly of native plants and wildflowers. Many flowers that seem unremarkable during the day become incredibly fragrant at night, releasing their scents to attract moth pollinators. White or pale-colored flowers are particularly attractive to moths because they're easier to see in low light conditions. Creating a garden that supports moth pollinators often means including plants that bloom at night or emit strong evening fragrances. evening primrose, moonflower, night-blooming phlox, and many herbs like basil and oregano can attract beneficial moths. Even leaving some lights on near-flowering plants can help moths locate nectar sources, though it's important to use warm-colored lights rather than bright white ones, which can be disorienting to nocturnal insects. The rhythm of the parade. Understanding the timing and patterns of pollinator activity can help you become a better observer and a more effective gardener. The pollinator parade doesn't maintain a steady pace throughout the day or season. It has its own rhythm, influenced by weather, temperature, time of day, and the availability of flowering plants. Early morning, particularly the first few hours after sunrise, is often the most active time for many pollinators. This is when flowers are fresh, often still covered with dew, and when many flowers release their strongest fragrances. Mason bees are particularly active in the early morning, often beginning their work before the air temperature reaches 55 degrees Fahrenheit. As the day warms up, different pollinators become active. Honeybees and many native bees prefer temperatures between 60 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit, while butterflies often wait until the air temperature reaches at least 65 degrees before becoming active. Hot afternoons might see a lull in activity as many pollinators seek shade and cooler conditions. Evening brings a shift change in the pollinator parade. As day-flying species settle down for the night, moths and other nocturnal pollinators begin their activities. This is when night-blooming flowers open and release their fragrances, creating an entirely different but equally important pollination ecosystem. Weather plays a crucial role in pollinator activity. Light rain might not stop the hardiest native bees, but it will ground butterflies and most other flying insects. Windy conditions can make flying difficult for smaller pollinators, while calm, warm days typically see the highest levels of pollinator activity. Seasonal patterns are equally important to understand. Early spring brings the first mason bees and other cold-tolerant species, often before many flowers are in bloom. This is why early flowering trees and shrubs are so important. They provide crucial nectar sources when few other flowers are available. Late spring and early summer typically see peak pollinator diversity, with many different species active simultaneously. Late summer and fall bring a different cast of characters, including many butterflies preparing for migration or overwintering, creating your own pollinator paradise. Understanding the needs and preferences of different pollinators is the first step in creating a garden that truly supports these essential creatures. The most effective pollinator gardens provide three basic requirements: a diverse succession of flowers from early spring through late fall, nesting sites for solitary bees and other beneficial insects, and a pesticide-free environment where pollinators can forage safely. Flower diversity is crucial because different pollinators have different preferences and active periods. A garden with only summer-blooming flowers will miss the early spring mason bees and the late fall butterflies. Similarly, a garden with only large, showy flowers might attract butterflies, but fail to provide the small, accessible flowers that many native bees prefer. Native plants are particularly important because they've co-evolved with local pollinators over thousands of years. A single native oak tree can support hundreds of species of moths and butterflies, while non-native plants often support far fewer species. This doesn't mean you need to eliminate all non-native plants from your garden, but incorporating native species will dramatically increase your garden's value to pollinators. The arrangement of flowers also matters. Pollinators are more likely to visit gardens where flowers are planted in groups rather than scattered individually. A mass of the same flower type is more visible to flying insects and provides a more efficient foraging opportunity. Planning for overlapping bloom times ensures that there's always something flowering in your garden throughout the growing season. As you watch the pollinator parade in your own garden, remember that you're witnessing one of nature's most important partnerships. Every bee visiting your flowers, every butterfly sipping nectar from your plants, every moth hovering at your night-blooming flowers is participating in an ancient dance of mutual benefit. By understanding and supporting these relationships, you're not just creating a more beautiful garden, you're helping to sustain the intricate web of life that depends on these tiny, industrious creatures. The Pollinator Parade is always ready for an audience. Step outside, find a comfortable spot near your flowers, and prepare to be amazed by the incredible diversity and dedication of these small but mighty garden allies. If you liked what you heard today, consider purchasing other books by Bradley Barkhurst, including Underlying Love, a Worthington, Ohio Mystery. It's 1941 in the quaint village of Worthington, Ohio. Life is changing at the end of the Great Depression. Elizabeth Russo, 23, teaches elementary school but feels uncertain about her future. Her Sicilian immigrant father ran the Red and White, a popular village general store. 5 years prior, Elizabeth's high school sweetheart Samuel left the village abruptly, leaving her with unanswered questions. Now engaged to George, the Red and White's accountant, Elizabeth still can't forget Samuel. When her father tragically passes away and her mother goes to Cincinnati to help her ailing Aunt Gracie, Elizabeth is forced to be alone. Then, one night, Elizabeth receives a phone call from her mother, asking her to come to Cincinnati to see her ailing aunt. Before leaving, and without notice, Samuel, Elizabeth's high school sweetheart, unexpectedly shows up in the village. Upon Elizabeth's return from Cincinnati, she hears a scream and sees a figure fleeing. The village banker, Mr. Collins, is found murdered, with suspicion falling on a local hobo. Elizabeth and her quirky neighbor, Betty Wimsfeld, investigate the murder. As they uncover village secrets, Elizabeth struggles with her feelings for George and Samuel. Will Elizabeth solve the murder mystery? Will she choose her stable engagement or risk rekindling an old flame? Find out in Underlying Love, a Worthington, Ohio Mystery. Available through major book retailers and underlyinglove.com. Stay tuned for the next episode of Little Wings of Wonders 2, Garden Allies, the Tiny Heroes in Your Backyard. Episode 3, The Garden Security Team.